itself. It gave me a little button. There we go. Okay. Okay, now I just have to move this thing out of my way and everyone can see that. All right, getting started with advanced custom fields. I'm going to be flipping back and forth between these slides and live demo stuff. Everybody feel free to sing out with a question if you have one, or ask me to explain further, or don't ask me to skip ahead because I'm going to be going pretty slowly. I am not a front-end developer or designer in any way, so you'll be seeing a lot of very bad looking examples of custom fields that will work but not look very nice, because I don't spend too much time doing that. Okay, brief overview. What we're going to go through: what advanced custom fields is, what is a custom field, and what do you use them for, how to set up a super basic one, how to display your super basic custom field on the website without code. And then I'm actually going to go to the moving your custom field, how to get it from your dev site into your live site, or from your local into your server easily. And then we're going to go ahead into writing a little bit of code, but very simple copy paste code in a child theme. So some of the basics of writing code. So advanced custom fields, we were looking at the website, currently owned by WP Engine. There is, they have a Black Friday deal right now. I believe it's $39 for a single site license. For $159, you can get a license for as many sites as you want to work on for a year. The Pro version has some features that the free version doesn't have, obviously. Everything I'm going to show you tonight is going to be done with the free version, which can do a lot right out of the box, but maybe not every single thing you want it to do. And what are the custom fields? So custom fields, the fields when you look at a post in the edit screen are the title, the content body, the excerpt. Those are the fields that ship with WordPress out of the box. Custom fields are basically fields that you show the user, like a checkbox or a text field or a pull down or something. The user can select the data that you've assigned to that or enter data with the post, and then it's saved to the database in the post meta table and associated with that post. So it basically just becomes another part of the post. So imagine if you had a site that was movie reviews, your custom field might be something like the runtime of the movie, or how many stars you're giving the movie. Or if you had a site that was recipes, you might have posts that are recipes, and then you would have custom fields for particular ingredients, or I don't know, food types, sure. Sure. What is it for breakfast? Is it for dinner? So any kind of data that you want to be sort of standardized on the site, like you want to have it, give it a label that applies to a certain set of posts, a certain set of content, and you want to be able to display it in the same way on that same set of posts or that same set of content. Advanced custom fields gives you a framework to create the custom fields. It doesn't do anything else with them. It doesn't even show them on your website. So the shortcut it gives you is that you don't have to write the code to set them up, and you have a nice interface where you can look through the fields and see what they are and what they're doing. It's still up to you to determine how they are used on the website and what they're for. So it's basically just like an extra toolkit that sort of attaches onto WordPress. Examples of custom fields, simple examples, subtitle, job title, complex examples. So if you've used the events calendar, if you've used WooCommerce, on a lot of older sites, you see layouts that are done in custom fields. So those are all the fields in WooCommerce that control and define your products are custom fields defined by the WooCommerce plugin. And if you have an events calendar, then the start date, the end date, the venue, the organizer, those are all custom fields that are, again, defined by the plugin and available for you to use as an editor. And just some specific use cases real quick before we get into looking at the nitty gritty of the GUI. Let me see, where are we? So here's I do a lot of like academic websites, and there's always a board, and the people always want to have their pictures on their website. So in this one, we have, you can sort of tell by looking at this that you would set this up by having each person have their own post, so that we have a listing page where we see all these posts of people arranged, and then you click through each one to their single post page. And what we have listed here is their job title. There is no job title field in WordPress. This is a custom field that's been added to these people posts. And so when we have this job title field, we can define that it's displayed below the person's name on this listing page, and also that it appears below their name on the single page. And so it's consistent in its presentation, it's consistent in its formatting in the editor interface. So the editors of the site know what to do with it. And it's labeled job title, so it's really obvious to them. That's what you type the job title in. Another use case would be creating layouts. You see this a lot in older sites from before the Gutenberg editor, really, or before the sort of site templates that you have now. Is this site, this site's from about 2018, 2019, has this 3-column layout. And then it has this layout where it's got text on one side and images on the right, and then it switches to image on the right, text on the left. These are all set up in custom fields. There aren't many people building layouts in custom fields anymore because we have blocks now. But if you inherit an older site, you might very well see, and I can show you real quick what it looks like. You might wait, no, this is going to be on their dev server. It's going to be super slow, isn't it? Yeah, totally breaking my rhythm. It gives it a sort of a Drupal-ish looking interface where instead of arranging chunks of content like we do in blocks now, you just have this big list of fields and you just fill them all out, and it kind of assembles the layout of the page for you. If I can get in here and show you. It's easiest to do it from here. So you can see that it has Hero Desktop, Hero Mobile. It's got all these different panels, and this is Advanced Custom Fields creating these panels. It shows you like which stories. You have a method to select which stories are the featured stories. You have a custom feature highlighted, and as you can see, the layout of the page is not at all revealed here in the editor. What you have is a list of fields. So like I said, this is sort of an old school way of building a site. The 2 columns here, we would use a 2-column block in a site we were building in 2023. But there are a lot of sites. This was a lot of agencies use this method. Some even still use this method to build custom layouts. So if you inherit an older site, you might very well see a site that's built like this. And this hopefully will help you understand a little of how it's working. Another thing that Advanced Custom Fields does, although pro version only, is it creates these nice, the pro version creates this nice site options page. It gives you a really easy interface where you can create site-wide custom fields, which are nice these days because every site has different ways of doing the header and the footer, and it's often complicated or involves widgets, or it's different from the way the rest of the site is laid out. So it's sometimes hard to train a client on how to edit their header or footer, or you want them to be able to control certain parts of the header and footer, like contact information, but not anything else. So Advanced Custom Fields gives you this handy way to set up a site options page where you can just put whatever global settings you want to be accessible to the site editor, to your client, on this page, and they can find it easily without having to, learn how widgets work or figure out how to use the customizer or something like that. And my last example are the custom blocks, which is super handy. Here's a custom block that is, it's a single custom field. It looks fancy. All it is a text field where the user types in a number, and then CSS generates the nice radial percentage. Stacy set up the CSS. It looks great. Very easy way to make something that looks nice on a site with not much back-end code and only a little front-end code. I use Advanced Custom Fields for custom blocks more than anything else. That's generally what I'm doing, is trying to develop custom blocks for my clients so that the editors have a really easy time figuring out how to lay out their site nicely. And I think that's probably one of the most widely used purposes for the plugin today.
But there is coding required for that, some low code.
Yeah, although honestly, we did about 90% of it with copying and pasting it from the example we found. So it's a little coding is involved.
Drag and drop.
Copy paste, yeah. I mean, yeah, I Googled I was looking for some examples of some, nice graphic statistics. Found a guy who'd worked out how to do this with CSS, how to make it's like a percentage, like the percentage of the circle goes around is the percentage.
Yeah, I think they do custom properties, so whatever you enter in there, they take just that number and we apply it to the CSS. Or whatever.
Yeah, like that's the hard part as far as I'm concerned. The easy part is just setting up a field where the user types in a number and then outputting the number to the front end to the HTML, and then CSS takes it from there. I think we have another example of a simpler one on this site where where's our blobs? We have one that's just statistics, and there we go. So this is even simpler. It's just a number printed out in a shape, and we give it a nice name like lozenge statistic or light blue statistic. So the editor of the site knows what they're getting when they put that block in there. And then the CSS and the template, the custom block file, take care of the rest of it for the user. So those are, as you can see, it does a lot of different things. It's infrastructure for building out your site. So you kind of decide what you want to do with it, decide what your need is. And these examples are complex. Well, they're not all complex, but they address the need. Like if you work with WordPress, you are going to run into something that WordPress doesn't do out of the box. Like you need to have a directory of people, or you need to, have a pet of the month or something on your site. And our first instinct as site builders is, well, there's got to be a plugin that does that, because there usually is. So you go and find a plugin that will do what you need it to do. And the plugin does about 85% of what you need it to do. And then you sort of figure out how to work around that, and you get to about 95% of what you need to do. And then you kind of figure out how to work with that. Knowing how to use custom fields effectively can get you exactly what you want, built exactly how you need it, without the overhead of loading an entire extra plugin. So if you end up with a site that has a lot of little things, or even just a few different medium size or big things that you can't find a plugin that does exactly what you want, it might be cost effective in the long term for you to use advanced custom fields to build a custom solution. That is often where my clients end up. If there's a plugin that'll do exactly what you want, by all means, use the plugin. If you're going to have to hack the plugin or just do another workaround, even with the plugin there, maybe it's better to just set something up yourself. Custom fields can be added to WordPress. Custom fields have been in WordPress for a long time. They've been there, like advanced custom fields didn't invent them. They were in WordPress before, and WordPress actually does have its own built-in means of adding them. But it's not as good as advanced custom fields. It doesn't allow flexibility. So I'm going to demo this, but just this is in the slides in case you want to refer back to it later. And the slides are online at that URL, and I will also be posting them in the Meetup page and the Slack channel after this. So if you want to see WordPress's interface for adding custom fields, which one am I on? I'm on my local. I'm going to deactivate advanced custom fields. This won't work if you have the advanced custom fields plugin active. It sort of hides that for you. But if I go to posts, I'm going to add a new post and see this interface here. This is accessible. I have to move my Zoom windows. No, Zoom is in my way. Okay. If you click the three dots in the upper right, you click down on preferences, you click on panels. Down here, you see this toggle for custom fields on or off. So I've got custom fields on, and it's showing me this interface here. This is built into WordPress. This is always there on every site. So it's gone to the WP post meta table in the database, and it's found everything that looks like a custom field, and it's showing them to me. And I can just create one for this. This page's job title is test page. I can also, add a new custom field and just give it whatever value I want. As you can see, nothing is actually changing on the page. This is going to the database and it's staying in the database. So now here in my add custom field, no, I don't want a new one. I want to see all the old ones.
I think you clicked on the window.
Where did I click? Yeah. Now I've confused myself.
You didn't click on the phone to get it?
There we go. So now, where did it go?
You have to have a non-space separated thing. Or
I might,
have it public
yeah.
before it-
See, this is why this is not as great. And it's not going to generate it for me. Oh, it is letting me update, but it's just not a really, it's not very user friendly, and it's not, there we go, new test custom field, new test custom field. It actually
Oh,
added
yeah.
both.
Yeah, you have it.
So I could probably edit it. I can enter the value. So this is WordPress's built-in way of supplying custom fields for your post. And what Elliot Condon did when he developed Advanced Custom Fields plugin over 10 years ago was basically just build out a nicer interface for dealing with this. If you wanted to display the custom field on your post, I don't even know how to do that in WordPress. Their example, I believe in their example that they link to, involves use of code. Yeah. So yeah. So this is an example of why we don't use the built-in way. If you are dealing with one of the big plugins like the events calendar or WooCommerce, they write the code for the custom fields themselves. There's a number of functions built into WordPress, add post meta, get post meta, add metadata. And here's an example of some code, and nobody wants to deal with that. If you are building a plugin that has to be standalone, then or you're building a specialized theme, maybe for like a cookbook or something, then you would need to write your own code in this way to manage the custom fields, because you don't want to require Advanced Custom Fields plugin be installed. So the situations we'll be looking at today are where you are building fields that are dependent. You actually have to have Advanced Custom Fields running on your site for this stuff to work. So it's sort of going to be custom for your site. Any code is going to be in your own personal theme, and it will need to be always working on a site that also has Advanced Custom Fields installed.
Curious, what language is that?
This is PHP. So this is WordPress is the templating level of WordPress is written in PHP, which is open source. WordPress generally also has a lot of like JavaScript and stuff for the front end, but see where it says SQL, the SQL is the database language. So that where it says select, that's communicating directly with the database. So PHP is sort of the in between the browser and the database, and it gets things out of the database and arranges them and shows them to the browser. And then the browser is where JavaScript, CSS, the things that really make the website look nice and behave nice, act, and PHP is just sort of arranging things and passing it to the browser. Any other questions about stuff so far? Okay. Live demo. Okay, what am I doing in my live demo? I'm making a simple custom text field. I'm going to use job title. That's an easy example. We're going to create it in Advanced Custom Fields, display it in a location of our choosing, which is going to be in posts and category people. And then I'll show a couple ways that you can actually get that custom field to show up on the front end in locations that you desire. So let me see. I am working on my local. Where am I? Yep. WP Naperville Meetup local. This is, I'm using my local dev environment. This is local WP, which is also owned by WP Engine. It's free. It's a handy way if you need a local development environment. I think it's the easiest one to use. It's probably not the coolest one that tech people use. I think a lot of my cooler coworkers use Lando. I use local because it's super easy to use. So I need to activate my plugin, Advanced Custom Fields, and it's ACF down here. And let's start with what's going on this first panel here. So I have already existing on the site a couple field groups, and the field groups are just, they're groups. They're ways to categorize the fields that you're creating. If you had a set of global fields, you could just call them global fields. If you have some that are just for posts, call them post fields. You can also create custom fields that add special features to categories or users or, geez, I think you can even do menus maybe. I haven't messed with that too much. So it's not just post content, it's kind of all the other parts of WordPress can also be customized. So just give your group a name that makes sense to you. I'm going to call this person custom fields. That's my new group, and my field type is going to be text. This pull down here shows you all the different types of form elements that you can create your custom fields in. You can restrict it to be just a number. You can define an upper and lower number and then make sure the user enters a, have you seen those sliders for choosing price and stuff when you're shopping for shoes? It's like one of those. You can make sure it's an email address, URL or password. You can images, you can create just, I believe the WYSIWYG editor creates the old school Tiny MC editor that had the little icons across the top, sort of like, you know, the old style blog editor like Microsoft, looked a little bit like Microsoft Word. And then you can see we have many. You can have the user select a post from a list of posts if you want to create some sort of relationship between the post you're looking at, like a related post setup. And down at the bottom, we have, are they showing up? There's some pro only ones that are down at the bottom. Here we go. Repeater, flexible content. And we're going to get into more details on some of those more advanced ones in a different presentation later. So for now, I just wanted people to enter a job title. So text, I'm going to label it job title. When I click here, ACF automatically generates a nice slug for me with the spaces replaced by underscores. So I don't even have to worry about that. Default value would appear in the field when the page loads before the user enters anything. I want to leave that blank because I don't want the user to think that, yeah, I'm not going to say that what your default job title is. I want the user to see that it's blank and fill it in, or for nothing to appear if they don't fill it in. And that's that for that part. Down here, we have settings that control where this custom field is going to appear in the editor interface. So is this going to be a field that appears when you're editing a post? Is this going to be a field that appears when you're editing a category or a page? I want it to be, I want it to be for posts, but I also want it to be specifically for posts. Yeah, for posts that are people posts. Posts, and if post category is equal to people. Kittens don't have jobs, recipes don't have jobs, people have jobs. And you can combine rule groups to make it more sophisticated, but for my purposes, I only have posts and I only want job title to show up for people. So save changes. And that's just what it looks like there. It says field group published. And so when I go to posts now, if I add a new post, and this is going to be a person, let me Princess Peach, got a Mario theme going on. Here's where the content goes. And over here in my post, people, and I'm going to click Save Draft. And now my job title field has appeared down here at the bottom. Can you see that? Yeah. Go away. Jeez. Okay, so my job title field has appeared because it's people. Should go away if I click recipes. Oh, now the recipe fields are showing because I have that other field group. Yeah, spoiler. I have a bunch of recipe fields already set up in ACF. Okay, so job title. So I enter my job title. Princess Peach she's like the princess of, she's not related to Zelda or anything. She's a race car driver is what she is. Okay, and I'm going to publish my post. And when we look at it, it doesn't say race car driver anywhere because ACF only gives us the infrastructure for creating the relationship in the database. It does not actually display it for us. First way we can display it is with WordPress's, no, sorry, this is ACF's internal shortcode. So I want to add a shortcode block. My little guy. And I don't remember what the shortcode is off the top of my head. So I'm going to go to the website and look for shortcode. Their documentation for the plugin is excellent. It has, it's really detailed. It's really easy to understand. And the examples are, you can really get yourself started just copying and pasting their code examples. If you are trying to figure out how to build something and you don't know how, just seriously look for it in their documentation. It's really well documented. And it's laid out so nicely, it's a pleasure to read. Here we go. Here is my shortcode. I know. I've been using this plugin for 10 years and I still like it. There's hardly anything that I've been using for 10 years that I still like. I mean, in development terms. Okay, so my shortcode is ACF field equals field name. So I know that that has to be job title. And the post ID I can get from the URL up here. See where it says post equals number? 545 is my post ID. So this will do the job of displaying the value of this for me.
Do you really need the post ID number in there? Or can you just get away with just the job title?
See, that's a good question, because if I need to have a post ID number there, I need to enter this on every single person
Yes.
page, which is such a pain in the butt. So do I actually need that? I think I do, because this is just a little shortcode. But let's see. The documentation says I need it, and this is where you can tell I'm not a front-end developer, because this is way over here. It doesn't look good. Sorry, we're just. Oh, you know what? It works without it. That's interesting. That actually makes it a lot more convenient, the fact that you don't need to specify the post. So ACF field equals job title.
You can take that to a template. If you
That's,
wanted to use the shortcode, but what's a lot better is
yeah,
Allow you to add
Yeah.
classes.
you can add class, you could add class down here if you wanted to have specific CSS.
plus to the page itself.
No,
Is that
it's
on the block? Oh, that is on the block. That is on, I can't see, I think.
That is, oh, that's the paragraph, sorry.
It should have been-
Sorry, that was a different block. It wasn't the shortcode block.
Okay.
So you can put a block name here. That'll probably end up in an ID. You could probably target that with CSS.
Yeah, but doesn't AFC allow you to add a class in that shortcut?
Oh, you mean right in here?
Yeah. Not at some point you could, but maybe I don't usually use the shortcut, I usually use the PHP.
Yeah, in their example, they don't have the ID either. Yeah, I do not know. I have to find that out.
I'll
Actually,
look it
you
up
could
for
find
you.
that out. Yeah. Where was I? Okay, so that's one way to get your shortcode to appear here. Another way to do it is with this plugin that I like to use, because it makes things easier for me, is the plugin called, where are we? Meta field block. This is a free plugin. It does one thing. It displays the value of a meta field, and it does it well. So it's a very lightweight little thing to add to any website. You don't have to feel like you're clogging up your website, and it gives you a block, which, nope, come back. If we look here, meta field block. Over here in the settings, gives you a place to type in the name of the field. And then you can change how the field is output, whether it's output in a H2, a div, paragraph, whatever. I'm gonna put it in an H2. What it doesn't do, I don't know if this is a thing with the recent WordPress 6.4 update. It doesn't actually show you what the value of the field is on this page. So although it looks like it's not working, it actually is working on the front end. That's its output right there. So I like using this plugin because it's just a little easier to deal with in the shortcode. And also I can use it in query loops, which I will show next. So let me check my slides. What was I supposed to do here? Display an admin panel list post using admin columns plugin. Oh, so now I have this custom field job title assigned to my people, and it's a pretty important field. I don't want to have to, if I'm the person administering the site and I'm probably the person who's in charge of updating the content, I want to know what the job title of these people are, these posts are, without having to click into every single one. So it would be really nice if there was a job title column here, right? That would be great. So there's this other plugin called Admin Columns, which will add your custom fields to the post listing screen so you can actually use them to navigate around and sort your sort your posts, sort your content. So admin columns shows you the columns that are displayed. So this is referring to the posts listing screen, and it's showing you the columns that are displayed here. I'm going to add a column, and I'm going to add a custom field. See how here where it says Advanced Custom Fields Pro? Don't worry about that because we can just do it with the regular custom fields. I think it probably has some nicer interface if you or some integration with Advanced Custom Fields if you get the Pro version, but the free version works just fine if you remember what your custom field title is. And nope, our label is job title. Our field, here's the pull down. Our field is job title. So this is a pull down of all the custom fields that are set up in my database right now, including the 2 that I added just to the WordPress GUI. And that clicked update. Yep. So now when I go to posts, you can see I have this column over here, job title, and I can see what all the people's job titles are without having to go in and actually look at the post. I think the Pro version actually gives you little sorting things here or filters too, but so that's an advantage you get with using a custom field rather than simply having a styled paragraph, for example, is because this custom field is now, as far as WordPress is concerned, a legitimate part of the database. Other plugins can recognize it. WordPress core itself can recognize it. And so different plugin functionality, different themes can perform their functionality with this custom thing that you've created. So it really lets you build out from the basic WordPress posts, new ways of displaying content and managing content. Any questions about that so far? Okay. So if you had, it's too bad it's not showing the name here. I'm going to show how this works when you do a query loop. And I'm using the query loop block here. This should work about the same. There's a query loop. You're not gonna be able to see it nicely here because it's too small. But if I go to my people page, and again, excuse how bad all this looks. So a query loop is, it's displaying posts with category people. This is your standard archive page. If you have, there's all sorts of plugins that will do this sort of listing depending on whatever taxonomy or filters you choose. Like the Spectra plugin has a nice block grid or a post grid where you can choose, I want to show all, three posts in 3 columns from this particular category, and it'll generate a list for you. I know Genesis has a nice listing block that does the same thing. This is WordPress's built-in query loop block that does that. And you can see it's grabbing all my people posts and displaying them in 2 columns, and it's displaying featured image, title, excerpt, and it's displaying the job title underneath. So, and if I had front end skills, it would also look really nice, but it doesn't. Even actually, you don't really need super front end skills to make it look nice. You just need to spend like an hour messing with image sizes and stuff. I just didn't do that for this demo. So don't feel like if you do this, it'll look ugly. It's just, you have to do what I'm going to show you and then spend another, unit of time making it look nice. So if we look here at the block outline, we can see query loop. And the query loop block is what's going to the database and getting this content back. We don't want to inherit query from template. This is just a page. It has no, it's just going to show page content. I want it to show posts. I want them to order from newest to oldest. I'm including sticky posts. And I defined my filters. This filters thing is sort of a pop down. It starts with when you first click on it, it says taxonomy. Then you just say what taxonomy you just select you start typing and it'll start showing you the categories you have that match that. So this is how I set my define what the query is going to make. And then in here in post template, you can add each of these blocks that display. So if I wanted to add the post's date underneath the image, I would go here and to my block editor and do add after. and look for post date. Oh, great. Now where is it? Maybe it's called publish date. There we go. Date. So this lets you build the layout you want. I'm going to pretend that I don't want excerpt anymore and just remove that. So this lets you build the layout you want of a simple listing, and it can be in columns or it can be in rows, and the images can be there or not be there. But this meta field block guy is set to display job title, and that's how I'm getting the job title for each of these displayed underneath. Now that I know that the shortcode will also display whatever I want, I'm going to try my ACF shortcode in here. Oh, where'd he go? I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
So this is going to be job.
If it's on the post page, it's gonna get,
It was getting the ID from the post page.
I guess if it's. Well, let's see.
We'll see. Yeah. What did I do wrong?
It's fine.
Did I spell it wrong?
Yeah.
ACF field equals job title.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll find out, huh? Live demo. No, totally does not work unless I did it wrong.
Was it? Is that?
Yeah. So,
It was short code block.
oh, did I put it in the wrong block? Did I put it in a paragraph? Thanks, Drew.
Oh.
Oh, it's in a code block. Yeah, thank you. Yes, I put it in completely the wrong block. Okay, let's remove that. And add a shortcode block. we go. Yeah, so it needs to go in a specific shortcode block. There we go, like that. That looks better.
In your defense, that used to work.
Right.
We used to do that, yeah.
Uh, Yeah, it does. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I kind of like the shortcode better than the meta field block now, but well, I don't know. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, maybe. Well, the thing about the shortcode is you can't It- add markup around it. Like I would have to somehow do custom HTML around it or something. Like it's just getting printed out in a paragraph, I think.
You can, in
not
the
working,
creation of the field itself.
It was
Just
meta.
put a class in the block itself.
Can you go back and remove the meta box? Like the above one?
This one?
Yeah.
Move this
So
one?
it was showing that one, not the.
Oh, the excision.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
right. There should be two. Oh, it's not working. Man, we're
So try to remove that
Drew with the
one,
troubleshooting
then
here. Yeah. Oh, it's fooled. It fooled me. Yep, it doesn't work. Okay, thank you.
It will not.
It would not be able to get the value from the database because it needs to have some PHP underneath it to query the database for each of these posts. So even if WordPress knows which post it's referring to at each part in the grid, it still needs to be specifically told to get that from the database for that post. So what basically you need, I mean, you can tell by looking at this logically, you need a variable, you need it to say post equals whatever, but because we're only putting it, because we want it to apply to every post on the page, we would need to actually know the ID of every post on the page. So this is a situation where the meta block, which does the querying behind the scenes, is going to be your solution. So add after, and then this is going to be.
Add before and then.
You mean you want to try the shortcode before the title?
Yeah.
What do you think? I don't know. What'll that do?
So it was not duplicating to it.
Okay, I'm going to remember how to do this eventually, and then I won't need to look it up every time. Where we go? Here we go. ACF field equals job underscore title, close quotes, square bracket.
It's not duplicating.
No, it's just gonna list the job title.
Okay,
That's the thing.
It's not displaying.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so if I put the post ID in there, it'll display, but then it'll display everything, so it's not. Yeah, so it's not letting me set one and use that as a template for the page, but the meta block is, so meta field block. This is the meta field block. Please put input field name, job, title. Hide the block if the value is empty, prefix. Yep, make it say job. It's just saying no value here, but I'm pretty sure that should work on the front end. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, we learned something. Shortcodes are good on individual pages, but you can't really standardize it across your whole set of content. So that's where the meta field block comes in handy. If you, yeah, you couldn't put it in a reusable block either, because it wouldn't know the post ID. Any questions on any of that? Yeah, John?
I don't know if you're getting into this, but does this work similarly in themes? Pretty much.
Yeah. That requires PHP code to do, so I'm only going to get to that at the end of this. But yeah, what I would do is I would create the custom fields in ACF, and then I would implement them in my field with in the theme with PHP. I would be making like a custom template for posts or a custom template for people or something like that. And then that would include the code that displays them with, you know, HTML around it and formatted nicely and everything. And that also allows you to do much more complex logic, like, you know, if job title equals race car driver, then show race car icon, or, you know, or link to this other page or something like that. So once you start experimenting with PHP, that's where you can really expand the functionality quite a bit. Okay, so one of the things you can do, I'm going to go to my recipes now and show an example of, so for recipes, there's a few blogs I have with category recipe, and they have these recipe fields at the bottom. And I've got recipe source, featured ingredient, and total time to prepare. What I don't have are ingredients. What you would normally see on any recipe post would be a list of ingredients. Lists of repeating things that are the same comes with the repeater field in ACF, and that's only with the pro version. So that's going to have to wait for another time. But if I wanted to have an interface where the editor could easily just type in a bunch of ingredients with, like, say, the amount and then what the thing is, like 1 tablespoon sugar, you know, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, that would be a repeater field. That's beyond the scope of this presentation. So I have my recipe fields. Here I have the shortcode set up. This little doohickey I've created here, and it's too bad the values don't show, but this is a media text block, and it's got the meta fields for recipe source, featured ingredient, and total time to prepare laid out next to it. If you set a layout up like this, imagine I'd set it up very nicely and it looked great. I'm gonna, I don't know, H3, those are paragraphs. So there's a little layout there, but not much layout. You can create patterns. See this, I'm over here in the listing. Part of my block menu is create pattern. I can save this as a pattern. I'm going to call it recipe overview block. And I'm going to put it in featured. This is going to save this pattern as a block pattern on the site. Are we still calling them block patterns?
I'm not saving it as the reusable one.
Yes.
Reusable block.
Reusable block pattern. They're still called reusable block patterns in
They're calling it
6.4.
distinct now.
Yeah.
Distinct pattern. This is what they
Well,
removed the word reusable.
okay.
That's what it means.
So there's 2 ways this works. One way this works is I leave it synced, and that means that I have created a block pattern, which wherever I put it on the site will be exactly the same. And if I update it in one place, it'll change that everywhere on the site, which is great for things like contact details or pet of the week, something that you want to be on the site the same everywhere, and then you want to change it and it changes everywhere.
CPUs.
Hmm?
CPUs.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, global stuff. Right, sorry, marketing speak. I've heard the term. If I uncheck that, it becomes a pattern that is different on every page. And because I have the meta field block there, it'll know which page it's on and it'll get the value for that page or post. So I'm going to create a unsynced recipe overview block.
But with that one, because you're only using the meta field, isn't that, the data is gonna come from the database, not from the content. But if you want a new image, that's where you would need it to be.
Yeah, the image needs to be swapped out. It did work when I tested it. I hope it works now.
Almost a candidate for a perfect reusable block where. it
So,
stays-
okay, so I want to get my pattern. My pattern is, what did I call it? Recipe overview block? That's my demo pattern there. So this added my recipe overview block and it kept the image from where I saved it. And it has the fields. It knows which fields to look for: recipe source, featured ingredient, time to cook. And I need to make sure that, okay, so if I publish now, it's not going to show up because I didn't enter the values of the fields. It's just going to be this with no data. I need to enter the values of the fields. And because I created these fields, I know that they will only show up if it is a recipes post. And now recipe sources, there's grandma, featured ingredient, chicken, total time to prepare, 3 hours. And it's my husband who makes the famous grandma chicken soup, so I'm totally stealing his.
Shared problem.
Right, so you can't really store, if I created a custom field for the image and called it recipe image and added it to this, that would work. I would then set an image down here with these other fields and it would pull it automatically. As it is, I'm just gonna swap out the image with some other image. What's that? I don't even know what that is. I don't remember adding that.
But we can also add the image, custom diagram.
Yep.
And then
Yep, we can do that right now. So if we go down to ACF and I look at my recipe fields, which are in their own group here, I'm going to add, this is super live demo. Okay, so this is going to be recipe image. Field name recipe image. The field type is going to be an image. And what do I want it to return? This is the part. An image array is a PHP object that contains all the information about the image, including, if it has a specific size, what its file type, its where it's attached, its caption, everything. Image URL is the URL it's at on the server, and image ID is just the database ID for it. I actually don't know what I want. You think array? Let's see if it works. Oh, did I have that set to the right location? This is set to post category is equal to recipes. Yes. So, recipe image, no image selected, add image. Wait. No, I want to do this with the, yeah, what I want to do is, ooh, yeah, you know what? Media plus text isn't going to work for this because I can't. I need it to be 2 columns. So I'm going to build the same thing with 2 columns, and this column is going to be the meta field block for the image. I don't even know if it's going to work. And then the other column is going to be, can I just like copy these guys? Can I just copy these guys?
Probably not. Different pattern.
Yeah. All right, just do it this way. Cheese. Thanks. Recipe source, featured ingredient, total time to prepare. Okay, field name, recipe source. Update. Well, it says no value instead of broken. So now,
No, you get the image ID.
yeah, that's outputting the image ID. That's not right. How about I give it the image URL. So with the image, it might not work right out of the box with the default. Sorry, with the meta field block. Well, I want it to display, well, I want it,
Just the image,
yeah, so let me remove this.
But it doesn't give you that as an
Perfect
option.
thing
so
to
it's
block.
Change.
Let me add before. This is the media plus text below, so I don't get confused. So if we change it to URL, it'll probably just output the URL. So it looks like we need some to be sneakier. Recipe image URL. That'll just output the URL.
To be changed. Input tag will
Oh.
be changed, back, not in the front end.
Yep. If you, so when you edit your infrastructure of your custom fields here, that doesn't change it for the post where you've already created that data. This post, as far as it's concerned, had the old settings saved. So I would actually need to go in and replace this and add. Let's pretend this is,
Display the image, you choose array. That's what it says here.
but it's not outputting an
No
image tag. Okay, I don't even remember what I'm doing now. Okay, Claire's chicken soup view. Yeah, it's just outputting the,
Wonder if the meta box
Yeah.
plugin is,
that's where it's cached, you think?
well,
There's some setting in there.
Anyway, if we were doing this with PHP, this wouldn't be a problem. So sometimes learning code makes things simpler. Okay, view post. No, it's so, okay, so image isn't just plug and play, unfortunately. Yeah. But it's, oh, you know what? Maybe, okay, wait, I thought of something else. You know how you can choose the tag that it outputs with? Maybe I wanna, no, there's no image here. Like what it needs is an image tag here in this. Like if there was an image tag here and then it knew to wrap the URL that was output or the ID that was output with HTML, that would work, but we don't have that. So it doesn't work for images, it works for text. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move on from this example. Anybody have any questions about that? That is shortcode and meta field block, how to display your custom field values on a single detail page and on a listing page without using any code. I am in my outline going to skip ahead to, there's that, this is notes, this is examples of everything I've talked about so far for people who get the slides and need to refer to them later. Okay, I'm going to talk about moving your fields to another site. So here we go. So I'm working on my local here, and I've done quite a bit of work setting up all these custom fields and testing them so they work nicely. I need to get them onto my site on the server. There's two ways to do that. Everything that I've done so far has been in the database. It is not in code. FTP won't get this to my server. I can sync the database, but one of the things in WordPress is it's really hard to sync part of the database. You're usually syncing the entire database. So I don't want to push my entire local development database up to the server. It'll overwrite whatever my clients have been working on for a day and they'll be mad. So I want to get just the settings in the database to the server. The first way to do that is under the tools here, export, toggle all. You can either export as JSON or generate PHP. Let's ignore generate PHP for now. This will output you PHP that will create you could then copy paste into a theme or a plugin. So that's a useful tool, but it's not one that we're using for this demonstration. Export as JSON gave me this file. And if I go look at that file, I'm just going to look at it. I hope I can just look at it in a browser. It is. Oh, can you see that? So it's just the objects that make up the fields. You can see they've got keys. They've got some information about what they are. Is it text? What are its parameters for where it's displayed, post category people. So this is a very lightweight text file that the way you would actually then import that into another site is if you went to the other site. Where's my other site? Make sure I'm not looking at any of my clients' sites. Okay, don't have my. Yeah. Get out here, ACF tools. Oh, you can either, yeah, I don't even need to copy and paste. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking of a different plugin where you need to copy and paste the JSON. You just upload the JSON right here and then import it, and it will overwrite what you have with or add on to it. I think I might have had some of the same sort of names of fields on this dev site. Yeah, it created you can see that this was there before, and this is the one that's added, and this one has been added. And so now these fields are available for use on my server instead of just on my local. Another way to, and this is handy if you are comfortable with FTP or if you have a Git repository that you're using, is in your theme. And where's my theme? Sorry, I gotta shuffle my Zoom windows around. There we go. Okay, in my theme, I've made a child theme that's just a child of the 2023 theme. And you create all you do is create a folder and call it ACF-JSON. And the ACF plugin will populate it with the same JSON. It'll be, while you're working, automatically be writing JSON to this folder, so that if you want to update the site on your other server, all you need to do is just transfer these files with regular FTP or commit them to your Git repository or however else you're moving files around, and it will actually recreate them in the database with the same structure. When you do that, okay, it should be giving me a little locked symbol here. Maybe I'm thinking of a different, yeah, okay. I'm thinking of a different plugin again. This can be particularly confusing. You can still edit, so I can still edit the fields on this other server. And there's sometimes, I'm not seeing it here, but particularly if you inherit a site that you didn't build, you might not see any of the custom fields in this listing page. It would say something like fields to be synced because they had been saved in that JSON and then imported here. So it's sort of like the editor interface for it isn't active. So you might not even realize that there's custom fields declared on your site unless you go digging around in the code, or unless you know to unfreeze them on this screen. Let me think. I can see if I can show you a site where I know they're like that. This is a test site where we never edit anything on test sites. See where it says sync available here? So here it looks like there's only one field. There's actually 23 different field groups available, but because they were all created by this method of moving the JSON files from server to server, they're not available to be edited in the interface because it's a reasonable expectation that you would not, on your site that you're pushing to, you don't want anyone to mess with the settings for the site with these custom fields. So they're hidden from you. And I'm not even going to click sync available because that will then make them editable in this interface. And I do not want anyone to edit them in this interface. I want to be controlling them on my local dev site. So if you're ever run into a site where it seems like there's custom fields, but you can't see them, they might be hiding in the code, and sync available will kind of bring them forward to where you can see them on this screen right here. More down. Any questions about that? I was going to get into doing some actual PHP now. Anyone up for it? Oh, well, it's nice to see you. Thanks for the help troubleshooting, Drew. Get that eagle eye. Okay, I'm going to do some simple PHP examples now. if you are trying to get started with PHP and Advanced Custom Fields, the website has the documentation for the website is great. If you want to figure out how to get checkboxes to work in Advanced Custom Fields. Oh, come on, checkbox singular, maybe. There we go. It will have screenshots, it has a description, and it has PHP code that you copy, paste, and change the names of the fields, and their code pretty much works right out of the box. It'll at least get you started so where you can see what's going on, and then you'll be able to refine it from there. So their documentation is a great resource for PHP. All right, so I am working on my local. I am working in a child theme. Is anyone familiar with child themes? Some yeses, no, okay. If you haven't heard of a child theme, when you're writing your custom code, you always want to work in a child theme, which is basically an extension of another theme that's installed, unless you were using your own custom theme, in which case you already know what you're doing. If you're looking to modify or add on to a theme that you have installed and are using on the site, you need to create a child theme, because these themes, other themes, update periodically. If you customize them, when the theme is updated, it will overwrite your customizations. If you put your code in a child theme, it will look at your child theme, use the code in that theme, and then go to the parent theme for everything else. So that's the way you can have your own code separate from the main theme, and sort of just build a little extension to the main theme that's not going to get overwritten, because WordPress isn't going to overwrite your custom child theme. So I have a super simple child theme here. Yeah, this is my child theme. And half these lines you don't even need. The lines you need here are, and you can, I think I have a link in the slides on where to get this block of text. You can also just Google it, how to create a child theme. You need theme name. You need, the main thing you need here is template. That tells you what your parent theme is. And most of the references that you find, that's really kind of all you need. Although it's probably not the most robust. You also need a file called functions.php, and you need to get these 3 lines, and then just put the name of your parent theme right in there. And that will tell it to go get the styles and everything from the parent theme and use them to execute the child theme stuff. So I'm gonna make a subtitle. I've already got my code in there. I was cheating a little bit. I want to make a subtitle, or something that's going to display on every post on the site. I'm going to put it in a new group called site-wide post fields. It's going to be text. It's going to be called subtitle. That's easy. It has no default value. I want it to show on every post type. Yep, every post equal to post. So now if I go to any post, they should all have a subtitle field now. And I don't like where that is down at the bottom. I think people who are editing recipes are going to forget to enter their subtitle. So I'm going to make it show up in a different place where they might notice it. No, I just clicked the wrong field group, didn't I? Site-wide post fields. I want my subtitle to display on the side, and that's going to put it over kind of where the excerpts and everything are. There it is down at the bottom here. And there's also an order field that you can, if you have it doesn't work too well with excerpting the core WordPress fields, but if you had like 3 or 4 fields on the side, there's an order field where you can set which order they be in, which order they're here in. So that's another way you can sort of make it easier for your editors to figure out where the content is they're supposed to be entering. Okay, so I enter my content, and of course it doesn't show up because I haven't done anything to make it show up. I want my subtitle to display on every post right under the title. This is a great place to use a hook in WordPress. In WordPress, there's these code chunks features called hooks, which allow you to easily sort of hook into the rendering of the page and display or do your code before, usually it's before or after or at a certain point in the page. So each theme has its own hooks too. So if you use a theme that you're very familiar with, like Genesis or GeneratePress, there's going to be a hook called after title. And so you would use that after title hook to anytime you want to display something after the title, or it would be like before date or, you know, last thing on page. A lot of hooks define placement on page. I know that there's a hook called the content, which renders this part of the page. And I want to make sure that when I show the content the editor is set up in blocks, that the subtitle appears above that. So that's the hook I'm using for this. And here's my code. Okay. And I'm not actually typing it now. This was mostly copy pasted, of course. A brief explanation of what you're looking at here. So I'm in my child themes functions.php. Shuffle the Zoom windows so you see what I'm doing. My hook is a filter, the content, and this is part of WordPress. So if you Google the content, you can see examples. This is the name of my function I'm using that's going to hook into it, and you can see it's repeated up here. You always want to put a unique identifier, like a namespace, in front of your functions that you're using in your child theme, because if you have something called display subtitle, a plugin might have something called display subtitle, and you can't have two functions with the same name. So just come up with your own thing to put there, the site name or the client's name or your name. And I know from Googling the content or from searching the content, what the structure of this is. All the hooks in WordPress have a documentation like this, with not quite as easy to understand as, you know, some documentation you might run into, but sometimes there's examples down at the bottom where people add their own uses that make a lot more sense than the official documentation up at the top. But what it tells me is what it does, displays the post content, what the parameters are, and which I'm not going to worry about. And then there's going to be an example. There's the actual code for it. And then down at the bottom, there's generally examples. Oh, come on. There isn't a good one for this. Well, I got my example off Stack Overflow, which is where you get all the best examples. Okay, so here's my function. I know that content is getting passed into this. I know I have a field, and this field equals get field name is right from the ACF. Every page of document they have shows you this get field with the field name, and then it shows you a little example of how to use it. So I am getting my field. My field name is subtitle, right? So that gets the subtitle for whatever post it happens to be on from the database. This should actually probably be right here. This is checking to see if Advanced Custom Fields is installed and active, which probably should be about there before I start using it. So first, let's check to see if Advanced Custom Fields is active. Then let's go get the custom field from the database. Yeah, this is extra. Sorry, I'm confusing myself with my pre-written code. The subtitle is the subtitle. If the subtitle is not blank, I am going to, yeah, this is terrible code. Okay. If the subtitle is not blank, I'm going to take the content that's getting passed into the filter and prepend subtitle with, let's say, like an H2 around it. This isn't the best way to write code, but theoretically it'll work, and that'll serve its purpose. Okay. So what I'm doing is just getting the field subtitle, and the content that's coming into this filter is all the content of the page. And what I'm saying is just stick subtitle with an H2 tag on the front of the content, and then pass the content back to WordPress. So hypothetically, if this works. No, see, that's what happens when you do live demos. Yep. Okay. Unexpected single quote string. Yep. What did I do? Right. Right here. Right here. Is that it?
Yeah. Do you need the other one? Probably. Yeah, probably.
Well, let's see how broken it is this time.
Yay.
Hey, that's it right there. Okay, hey. All right, that's enough. Okay, and yeah, so that's the very basic way to get a custom field to display using PHP in your theme. If you think back to the custom block we had where there was the sort of the radial percentage going around, it's not that dissimilar from that. It was literally like if ACF is installed and we're rendering this statistics block, go get the number and then output the number in this particular tag, and then your front-end developer or somebody who knows CSS is going to just do the magic of making it look nice, because all the PHP does is output the HTML. All the styling is done in the CSS or with other methods. That is about everything that I have in my presentation. Does anybody have any questions, Stacy?
I was able to get the image to show you the free version of Advanced Custom Fields in the meta block. You have to have show in REST API toggled on.
Oh,
Settings. I think.
oh, that's clever. Okay. So let me see if I can replicate that. So I'm on here. That's cool. So it's recipe. No, it's recipe fields and it's recipe image.
Down.
And it's here,
And
show in REST API.
toggle that on.
And that basically opens it up to some JavaScript or something that's happening.
So.
Right.
Playing.
You should just click.
And I'm like, this should work. I looked at the support and there's.
It should work.
Login description.
Okay, so I've got active, we're showing in REST API. So now I need to go back to my chicken, was it the chicken soup page?
I mean, it's not super obvious.
No.
So recipe image. And now is it just gonna work? Yeah, the recipe image is there. Is div okay here? Or does this need to be something else?
This is fine. I mean, I did do a few settings, but nothing that I think should affect.
Okay. What does it expect in terms of the output here? Was it array or?
Array.
Okay, I think I have it set to something else. So let me go back and switch it to, I'm gonna close some of these other tabs because I'm just
I
gonna
mean, I
confuse
also
myself.
said like for presentation, I selected the preview size, but that should be for like the admin here, I think. But
I wouldn't think.
select the size.
So let me go recipe fields, recipe image, and you said array. So we're returning the object from the database. And then let's see.
Save it.
Yeah, now I'm gonna need to, I might even need to re-add it and save it because it's delete, update. Yeah, when you're working with changing custom fields and testing and retesting, sometimes it's not working because you're looking at an old copy of the data, and that can be really confusing. It's often useful to just start over with a new post every time you change your data and then just trash all the old stuff, because it won't, like if I'm changing the recipe image field, its actual structure here, that won't affect any other fields where this field has already been added. They'll still have the old configuration of the data. So you can end up with broken data on your site if you aren't like, if you're adding content and manipulating your fields at the same time. So, okay, I'm going to add this guy this time. That might be the same one still. Recipe image. It's chicken pot pie. No, okay, what did you say, Stacey?
I mean, the only other thing that I think I have different.
Maybe I need to delete this and re-add it. Sorry,
I
it's my-
set a presentation value, but I think it should default to 300 medium or whatever.
Okay, let me. Okay, I've got my Zoom windows are in the way.
Column block. Like
Yeah, I'm using the column block. Default meta field name recipe.
Default.
Oh,
Switch to FC.
oh,
And
oh,
then put the
recipe. Nope. Recipe
Now, maybe it
image.
would've worked.
that might be why.
What if it would have worked anyway then? What was it?
It might have worked. It might have worked because it was a setting I did. Oh, that's really interesting. Okay, so what it was is in this field type, instead of default meta, I had to switch it to ACF, and then it picked.
The preview of all your other
Yeah.
fields.
Oh yeah, maybe that's why I'm. Oh,
There you go.
oh, thank you. That's so much better. Okay,
It is easier.
okay. I'm gonna have to go back and put that in my notes. Attention, everyone. Just make sure you have ACF.
So much better to middle these things out with a group.
Right, because I'm.
Specifies and-
Because I'm not gonna sit here all day clicking every little pull down, but. Oh, that's great. You know, and yeah, I had actually never done this on a site before. I think last time I used this, I must have just gotten it to work magically the first time and then never realized, like, remembered what I did right. All right, well, that makes this really quite useful. So now I have.
It's a lot more useful than it was kind of appearing.
Yeah, so now I have, and if I put a little design into this and built it out a bit, I would have a nice little module that I could drop into any of my recipe posts.
If it's a reusable one, it would change if you decided to add a new field there. But you would have to add the custom text or whatever you're doing on a post. I mean, or it would just be empty. But
I still think you're gonna run into the problem with the deprecated stuff on the old, I mean, because the old posts have the old settings. Like if I go to my other recipe. Oh. I don't know if this one even has it though, so
did you say synced or no?
it's not synced. They're all separate. So if I,
So each one was set,
yeah, so this is an old one.
yeah.
So it has the old fields. So let me go and add my new pattern. My pattern is called recipe overview block.
Is that a synced one?
Oh, no, I didn't change it because I didn't save it after I changed it. So I saved the version that didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just like if you, old post, site you're building, all the old posts look however. they
Yeah.
look on the old side.
So what I would need to do is go in here, select this. I want to build this out so it has all the fields that I want, because this is the one with the correct image. I want to add my other meta fields over here. Where's my right column? Add after, and this is going to be meta field. Nope. Nope. Add after. Meta field block. The next one is featured ingredient. No, this is going to be ACF. Featured ingredient. And then after that is something like ridiculous, like total time to prepare. So this is going to be a meta block. Default meta ACF. Total time to, nope. Prepare. Yeah. Okay, now I want to take this thing, the whole thing, columns, and create pattern. And I'm just going to call this recipe overview block works, or I have a client who's very good at creating their own reusable blocks, and they end up with a lot of ones that are called today's or, you know, good one.
Final dot.
Yeah. Tuesday.
No, really, I mean.
Yeah, it works for them. Okay, so now I can go, that's my chicken soup post. So now I'm going to go to my lemon bars post and add my pattern. My patterns works. And I
So
need
you
to
could
add
have
the
an
image because, but that's because this is an old post and I haven't added the image yet. Sorry, zoom window shuffle, zoom window shuffle.
Then you should add a pattern to see if it works.
Oh, there's my lemon bars. Didn't like the image. Did I forget to save the image? Oh, but just needed to reload. Okay, so there we go. Now I have a reusable block with custom fields that I can insert into any recipes post.
So what if
Like
you
this feels-
change the style, like 2 hours becomes bold? But then on the reachable.
That's the sort of front end thing I can do. I,
You're gonna have to edit the,
I'm gonna have to edit the actual,
I don't know.
Block.
graphical block of the site, I don't know, do that, or-
how do we do
How does
that these days?
work?
Yeah, and they've probably changed it. How do we do editing blocks, editing patterns these days?
Well, this site, you do the site
Yeah.
editor, right?
It's 8 o'clock, no shame if you leave. So this is gonna degrade into a bunch of like weird questions and experimentation. Right, so, and like, yeah, I mean, anybody feel free to leave it at any point, no shame. Thanks for coming though, Tom, it was nice to meet you.
Manage pattern. There you go.
Manage patterns. Okay, so I've selected my pattern and manage patterns. So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna edit it in this sort of secret hidden thing. I'm gonna go here. Hey, how do I make it bold?
Oh.
Span and then a class.
Well, just anything right now, anything other than what it is.
Okay, I'm gonna
just so
make
we
it
can see if it works, even if it's not semantic.
Oh.
span.
No, we'll know if it works. We can. inspect.
So we're checking on the lemon bars post to see if this is now a span instead of a whatever it was before.
With the div. Yay.
Yep. So if you edit it on that screen, yep, it allows you to edit the structure of the block.
So if you.
It's
if
block-
you
the
have
pattern.
a block, the same block, not in your post, you'll update it throughout.
Yeah.
Can you update the block? I think once it's a synced block, you can't really edit it unless you break it from its pattern, right?
Well, that's what I just did. I edited it.
And then you managed the pattern. You edited the pattern.
Yes. Sorry, is
Yeah,
that different?
That's what I meant.
You're talking about globally changing.
Yeah, if you make a global change.
I don't have it synced. Yeah, if so it did, I think it did make a global change there because yeah,
And then we tested it on. an
So-
individual post.
the structure of the pattern had a global change.
Yeah.
The pattern on each individual page displays the custom field specific to that page.
Yeah.
Because it's not synced.
So if you wanted, if the client's like, who is this in blue, and you have these block patterns on every page that have already been applied, you have to go on every page and do that, unless it's a synced pattern, then you can do
Well-
that. But the only way, like synced patterns either have to have identical information in them, or use something like this, where you have a custom field that's grabbing the data from the database.
We're pulling field, yeah.
So that's how you can get different content on
Okay,
Or.
different pages.
so
But the
detach, yeah, detach pattern would basically break it apart from the
It's
code
a
in the
block pattern.
database. So it just becomes a single block on this page.
It just basically becomes a block.
Yeah, this becomes confusing, so.
That's a joke.
Yeah,
Well, anyway, terminology keeps.
Yeah.
Sort of shifting slightly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make
so
them all
it's
purple.
Freaking-
I think this will make them all purple. I think the structural changes apply globally.
Oh, I see.
That's what I think. Yeah, so when I edit the pattern, that change applies globally. It's not synced. This is not a synced pattern. When it's synced, this is just a,
Reusable block.
I'm using the words, yeah. I literally toggled sync off. I mean,
Oh.
we might be using different words than we would have used for this a month ago, which is kind of confusing.
Yes.
So what I did to create this was I selected the columns.
Yeah.
I said create pattern, and then let me just do it with this.
Block, not ACF.
Yeah, I did not change the ACF. I changed the markup that is around the ACF.
Style, yeah.
So what I did was I said create, I'm doing this with just the paragraph now, just to show you what I did. So create pattern. I think I had it unsynced.
Okay.
Oh, maybe I must,
Updated everywhere it is.
yeah, maybe, oh, I might be wrong. Okay.
I seem like I could use that like for a CTA on a site, so everywhere I
Yeah,
post it.
Yeah, I might be
and then if it
confusing
said
you
there
by,
might be a different phone number.
so how can I tell on this screen whether it's synced or not? That would be nice to be able to tell.
It says, wait, doesn't it say in the top right that you can move your photo over? Sync status?
Oh, dang it, sorry.
My hand-
Sync status fully synced. Okay, so I retract what I said earlier. It is synced. Yeah, and that allows edits to the pattern to apply across the site.
But you have to start with it sync, you can't turn sync on after.
Probably not, no. It would probably sync every instance you added after
From
that,
that point
but it
on.
wouldn't,
Point on.
it wouldn't go back and sync other ones.
That could be a real.
And the
No,
only, the other problem is if you add another custom field, a new custom field that isn't filled out on those other posts, it would just show as empty until you
Yep.
actually add that content.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's not
needs
gonna-
something to display.
Unless,
So you have to
yeah.
fill it,
Yeah, it would add a blank field to all the old ones. Yeah,
Which you can say, don't show if it's blank, so it doesn't show like empty markup.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like how we wanted these block patterns to be sort of global. And that's why we've used like custom blocks instead. But if you can use ACF inside.
Yeah.
I think we have some opportunities there to like make a reusable, safe, safe.
Yeah.
Block pattern.
and no coding. So like a competent, knowledgeable editor who's comfortable with this could do it themselves. Or could be trained on how to do it. Like this is something that, like if you work with a designer who doesn't write code, but is very good with front end stuff, they could just throw something like this together and deliver it to the client without needing a backend developer.
Now, if you
We're
have,
getting closer to what page builders will do.
Yeah,
Pro, you don't need that other plug, you don't need that Metabox plugin, because Pro will give you the block, block editor for custom fields.
does it really?
So that's what they're with it, then.
Is that new?
I don't know.
Okay. Huh. That's why I installed meta field block in the first place, because there wasn't a block that did that, but maybe,
But you don't get proactive on here?
not on this one, but, on every other site that I
Right.
build ever. So maybe I just didn't see it.
It
Uh,
could be new. I don't know. I
yeah,
feel
might be
like
new.
it's tonight. So.
They did just update recently, so there could be a cool new feature I don't know about.
I will say since Engine bought it, they have really ramped up development. Been a lot.
It's so widely used. I mean, I've worked on dozens of custom sites, and I think there's maybe been one or two that didn't have this installed. It's just so widely used that it's practically like an industry standard in WordPress. So it makes sense.
Though, is if you do inherit a site and they have ACF Pro installed, but no license.
Oh,
That's
That, yeah, it's painful, because then you have to go to your client and say, well, I can't update this until you buy a license.
before we continue our discussion, any other questions? Because I'm going to stop recording and stop my screen share.
I just sent, in Slack, I posted,
Hi, everyone.
tag me there to make sure.